So nobody's here yet, but I'll just if people watch later, they can know. We were just chit chatting about like how you view yourself is not always accurate.
True. And, there's, I'm sure you've heard of the Imposter Syndrome, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Very, very familiar.
I don't know if you know Wes Collins. He's a friend of mine and a really, really talented songwriter. And
Yeah.
he always talks about the imposter syndrome. Because I look at Wes and guys like that, and I think, God, if I could only write like that, if I could only sing, and, if my music only sounded that good. And then, the same guy that's sitting next to you on the stage is going, man, if I could only sing and write like Grace, everything would be great. So,
Isn't that funny? It's,
yeah.
I think we all get that. It's like so good to remember.
It really, really is. And you have to, the deal. It's another thing I talk about in songwriting seminars. And then a friend of mine and I used to do this thing that was a performing workshop for people that were musicians that were new to performing. And, you have to be yourself. You have to be who you are. And nothing's worse than somebody trying to be something that they're not,
Yeah.
I remember Wes and I did this thing in Texas. We were in a songwriter round at the Dripping Spring Songwriter Festival, and the first guy to go was just, he had this like blues thing going, and it was just raucous, and he just rocked the whole room. And then it's like, turned to Wes, and Wes, who's like totally mellow, and we just kind of looked at each other and said, we can't follow that, so we just got to be who we are.
That's a thing I was talking about. We get some people watching. Every time I had a guest on last year, we would talk about this because it's like when you're in a songwriting round, it's the thought: do you try to write a song or play a song that goes with the previous one, or you just say no, like I'm just going to do me?
Yeah, I think you just have to
Hey,
have
Chris.
to be yourself.
It's and I tend to make a joke out of it.
Yeah.
But and then for me, how many of the IRFA conferences have you attended?
I've been to.
Hi, William and Keith.
I've been to SWRFA, I think twice, and I've been to NERFA, I think 2 or 3 times, just because it's closer. I can drive to that. I got an official showcase at SWRFA 3 years ago.
That's a good one.
But I shouldn't say this in front of the world, but I'm still, the jury's still out with me on those things. I think it's cool to go and to meet people and all that, but I've never had it be a vehicle to. I think people that first start going to those, you think you're going to meet all these people and get all these gigs and stuff, and it's never been my experience at those things.
Yeah, it's a slow burn.
Yeah.
Hey, people are telling us where they're from. So we've got Chris in Buffalo, New York.
Oh, wow.
And William's on Cape Cod, kind of like me.
Excellent.
William might know the truth if he knows where I live. And we've got Keith in Minnesota. I've never been to Minnesota.
I don't think I've ever been to Minnesota either.
It's on my to-do list because my favorite series of murder mysteries takes place in Minnesota because I'm a little old cat lady.
Okay.
So that's... And Pat from Minneapolis. Look at us.
Wow.
It's literally a virtual world tour.
There you go.
So we were just chatting about... I said IRFAs. So if you guys don't know, there are all these folk music conferences you go to, and the idea is you meet other songwriters and people who host coffee house gigs and house concerts. And oftentimes you're in a songwriter round, kind of like what we're going to do tonight, where you just go down the line and everyone plays a song. And my favorite memory, I was in a round with Jonathan Bird. You know
cool.
Jonathan Bird?
I know the name.
He's something else. He's really cool and a very giving person. We can get into that later.
Yeah.
So anyway, he has a book of poetry, and it's erotic poetry.
Oh, nice.
And I had to follow his erotic.
Oh God.
And so the challenge number 1, Chris, and I think Chris is in Florida. We are everywhere tonight.
Sweet.
So he did this erotic poem, and first I'm like, okay, everyone's watching me listen to the erotic poem, like. I'm thinking the whole, what reaction is on my face? Do I tap my toes? Am I turning red? How? And it was beautiful, but it was descriptive.
I did a round at SWRFA with Ronnie Cox. Do you know who Ronnie Cox is?
Oh, yes, I do. I've done rounds with
Ronnie. For those of you that don't know, he's an actor. He's been in tons of movies. Yeah, he was in Deliverance. He was in Beverly Hills Cop. He was in Taps with Timothy Hutton. He's been in movies and TV for 30, 40 years. And I'm sitting there across from this guy who I've seen in all these movies. And he's folk singing is one of his kind of, hobbies. And it was me and him and the host. So how weird is that?
He is a really, for a guy at his level, he's really altruistic.
Yeah.
I really
nice
liked
as he
him.
could be. I mean, loved my
Yeah.
stuff, but it was just surreal.
Seriously, I did a round with him. Thank goodness, once again, I didn't know who he was. But I'm pretty sure, guys, that he is the fingers playing the.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
And so anyway, I didn't know it at the time, and we got off the stage. I was like, "Oh, I really loved what you did." And then, of course, I realized who he was afterward, and I'm like, if I had known it when we were on stage, I might not have performed so good.
Yeah. And then, there's the stories of like meeting famous people and how strange that is. I went to a songwriting deal one summer with Steve Earle and Sean Colvin. And it's like, you're
Just play it cool, man.
yeah, it's like, I was talking to Sean Colvin and she said, this person, I've listened to her music since, forever. And same with Steve Earle. And so
Yeah.
that's always kind of weird too, And well, heck, we had Kim Ritchie as a judge at Songwriter Serenade. I've been a massive. My wife and I. That's the music of our relationship is Kim Ritchie. I mean, and
So
here
for
I
all
am sitting there chatting with Kim Ritchie about
Getting
my
judged
songs.
by her.
Yeah,
Everybody do yourself a favor. My favorite Kim Ritchie song is Chase Wild Horses. So I should probably start by saying, hey, this is Mike P. Ryan, and I'm Grace Morrison, and we met at Songwriter Serenade. Although I feel like we had interacted before that.
probably so. Yeah, it's a small family.
It was just, I talk about Songwriter Serenade all the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, Kim Ritchie was one of the judges there, and her song is stuck in my head every day. That song is so stinking good.
Yeah.
I don't chase wild horses.
Well, you have to go and
anymore.
listen to
So good.
"Straight as the Crow Flies." That's my wife and I. That's our song. And for our 20th anniversary, my wife got me a sound print of the song.
Oh, that's
If
so
you've ever
cool.
seen one of those, and we had Kim sign it when she came to town, and so
good.
just
Jim,
it was just
hello, Jim.
weird sitting talking to her,
It really is wild. I think so I sang backup for Eddie Money, who might be the biggest
right. That's
celebrity
cool.
I've
Yeah.
met, but I was a kid and I didn't
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
But then writing with Lori McKenna was like,
Okay.
I did know who she was, and I truly spent the whole time just trying to be cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, just not to get all Twitter-pated,
Right. Yeah. Well, we had Josh Greider at our thing, and I was sort of knew who he was, but then it was funny because I went home and I was listening to this album that's a tribute to Robert Earl Keen, and one of the songs I looked down and it's like Josh Greider was part of this thing, which I
Hey, Denise.
didn't even know. So.
Yeah, it's wild. And then you start realizing, oh, they're just people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Just people.
Just
So
like
he,
you and me.
I would like to hear a Mike P. Ryan song.
Okay, very nice. Well, let's see what we can do here. I joke and say this is from my midlife crisis series. This is called Life Beneath the Rust. Well, I'm wide awake at 3 a.m. wrestling with all of my regrets. The old front gate, it rattles in the wind, and memories burn in the dark like the devil's cigarettes. These days I wake in the morning shaking, scared of something I can't put my finger on. When I retrace the steps that my life's taken, I wonder if the best has come and gone. 'Cause my heart is frayed around the corners, my soul's covered up with dust. There's cracks in the brick and mortar, but there's still life beneath the rust. There's still life, there's a life beneath the rust. I used to think the answer lay in wondering that the road it had secrets to reveal. After all the miles and all my late night pondering, will I still feel the way I used to feel? And despite all my scars and the wages of my sins, for the life of me, well, I cannot explain why I make the same mistakes time and time again, and why I never learn a damn thing from the pain. My heart, it's frayed around the corners. My soul, it's covered up with dust. There's cracks in the brick and mortar, but there's still life beneath the rust. There's still life, there's life beneath the rust. And the engine in that old Ford, it ain't turned since '69. It just sits out in the pasture, covered up with kudzu vines, reminding me time's a river that flows steady every day. And bit by bit, the water's gentle touch turns the canyon's walls away. My heart, it's frayed around the corners. My soul, it's covered up with dust. There's cracks in the brick and mortar, but there's still life beneath the rust. There's still life, there's life beneath the rust. There's still life. There's life beneath the rust.
I needed to hear that one tonight.
Yeah?
I think you felt that. I think, because my family took COVID very seriously and we just really just didn't leave.
Right.
I think in a lot of ways I started feeling rusty in many areas of life. I'm like, I don't know how to talk to people anymore. I don't know how to leave my house. That was great.
Thank you very much. You're never supposed to apologize, but I'm sure like you haven't been playing a lot live, so I'm like, gee, I hope I remember these lyrics and
I know.
chord changes. So.
We were talking about that earlier, forgetting the lyrics of your own song. And every week on this show, I beg people, I'll do it now. Please give me song requests. I love when people request songs that I know. And finally, a couple weeks ago, someone gave me a request for a song that I wrote. A song that was like a minute and a half long.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Did you do it?
Well, I tried. I completely mucked it up. I was so frustrated because it was a radio DJ who loved that song.
Yeah.
And gave it a great anyway.
Well,
happens to all of us.
One of the things I always tell people is, we were talking before we came on the air about how I grew up playing in bands, and then when I started doing this songwriter thing, and you come out and you start playing solo, just you and an acoustic guitar, it's like there's nowhere to hide. I mean, if you forget a lyric, if your capo falls off, I'm sure we could trade stories for an hour about crazy things that have happened, but you are out there all by yourself. And same thing with forgetting lyrics. It's just like, okay.
Hope my personality shines through.
Yeah. Moving right along.
Oh, Keith was just saying that he appreciates that even artists sometimes get all fanboy-y when they meet their heroes. Yes.
Yeah, I think sometimes the inverse is true, because I've never met anybody that was especially a musical hero who didn't turn out to be sort of underwhelming, less than I hoped they'd be. So I don't know. I'll keep trying, but so far most of them. Well, I should say Kim Ritchie did not. She was as nice as she could be. Yeah. So.
She's great. Yeah. So it's funny, the rock stars that I've played with, I did a whole thing about them last week, and once again, I didn't know they were rock stars.
Right.
So I just, they're just the coolest people ever. It was my favorite of all of them. His name's Greg Douglas.
Okay.
And he wrote Jungle Love, and he was lead guitar for Steve Miller Band.
Steve Miller, yeah.
But I didn't know that band from a hole in the wall. I was just like, you're a really nice person. I really like you. So songwriting. some of you people, I see names I recognize, are friends with me on Facebook. And this past week, I'm going to start this by saying I'm really spoiled. Generally speaking, when I want to write a song, I can just write a song. Doesn't mean it's good, but I can get a complete thing down. And 2 days last week, I couldn't. Like, I kept sitting down to write, and then I couldn't. And it was a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I put a post up, and I'm like, am I even a songwriter anymore? and people, like, flocked to give me all this comfort. And, of course, like, I looked at all the comments and then went and wrote a song about it. But so spoiled. But I was thinking about, oh, Jim, yeah, I can absolutely play that song for you. Yes, sir. But I was thinking about part of it is a little bit of an addiction, and I've never asked anybody this before, but I think I'm addicted to the feeling of writing songs.
I think I'm addicted to performing my songs, because that's been one of the things that I've noticed during COVID is I've co-written one song with my friend Hope Dunbar. I don't know if you know Hope or not. But,
I know that name.
She's fantastic, and she just had a song she couldn't finish, and so I sort of swooped in and helped her finish it. But I haven't written anything because I haven't been performing, and I never realized until this came along that how much it meant to, that's sort of my stroke when it comes to songwriting, is playing it for people, getting that reaction. Do they like it? Do they not like it? Et cetera. It's the motivation for me. So from my perspective, playing is, I think, when I'm playing live and getting that feedback is one of the things I'm sort of addicted to.
It is interesting though, like there is that level of addiction to all of this making art business. And somebody, I don't know if it was one of the names I saw pop up in comments tonight, said something like, when you're a songwriter, you're either the greatest genius when you're writing a song or a complete asshole after because you can't write a song. It's like, oh, you only feel worthwhile when you're in the act of.
And the most recent thing you've written is always the greatest. It's like, it's genius, it's perfect, and then you go back. It's like,
they're like, oh, I'm not as much of a genius as I thought. Case in point, Jim requested a song called The Trouble.
Okay.
And then I'll just leave this idea floating, and we can talk about it after. But
so I'm going to mute while you're playing, right? Or
we'll still chat for a second, and then we can mute. But what's the word I'm looking for? It's not quite spoiled. But for a very long time, I thought that songwriting was, okay, I sat down and I put words and a melody together, and that's the song. There it is. Mm-hmm. That's the song. I never worked at it. I just put things down and walked away, and there it was.
Some people have a natural talent for whatever it is,
But I don't think it's that. I think, like, I look back at all those old songs, and I'm like, what is it about? I don't know.
Right, yeah.
I have no idea. So this song that Jim requested, I like the song. It's based around an old fiddle tune. But I really didn't know what I was writing a song about. I was just trying to write a song around this fiddle tune. And so then I found myself, I had been hired to, I thought I was giving like a songwriting lecture to kids who were interested in writing songs.
Right.
What it was like 200 12 to 14-year-olds who were at a summer camp not for songwriting. I was putting on a concert. And at the time, all my songs, Mike, were like about diphtheria and the Titanic.
Yeah,
I'm like, they don't know what diphtheria is. So I thought of this song. I was like, oh, I can make up right on the spot what this song is about. And I was like, this song is about how you can accomplish anything. And I got huge rousing applause. And I suppose that's what this song is about. But I'm interested to know what other people think. Like, I was always a Tori Amos fan. Have you listened to any of her work?
I'm not a huge fan, but I definitely know who she is.
Well, I challenge anyone. Maybe I'll play a song later to like tell me what her songs are about.
Right.
And that's how I learned to write songs, was listening to her. I thought it was just like words that just sounded cool. Like I wasn't.
Well, I don't know if you know Neil Finn from Crowded House, and
I should, but I don't.
Okay, he's one of my very favorite songwriters of all time, and he's got a lot of stuff like that that's sort of odd. One of his songs, just one of my favorite songs of his of all time, is based on gibberish that his son was babbling while he had a really high fever, and the song's called Pineapple Head, and it's just. It doesn't really. I'll send you a link to it when we're done.
Yeah,
or
please do.
People out there, go and listen to Crowded House Pineapple Head. And I read about like what is this song about? And then I read him talking about it. He said it was his son had a fever and he was just babbling all this stuff that, you know, about the pineapple head and this and that, and it's so
All right, that makes me feel a little bit better.
yeah. So there's stranger things than working around a fiddle tune.
All right, I'll do this tune for you, Jim. Let's see. It's been such a long time since I've had a guest on here. I'm a little rusty at the button pushing, and I'm gonna put that up. Okay. This is called The Trouble, and it's on my first solo record called I'm the Apple. How'd it come to this? You got me all wrong. Been living like my life is a song, and I know now that it's all gone. I don't wanna crash, I don't wanna burn home. I've been lost and I've been found. I've been scared and I've been drawn. It's the trouble that we make, so far away from the first mistake. But then on the left, I can't see the right way to face my fears. You got a candle, but I need a lantern low. I don't wanna fall, I don't wanna lose my way. I've been lost and I've been found. I've been bleeding on the ground. It's the rain that washes away the pain from the first mistake. Take me home. Take me home. Take me home. Take me home. I've been lost, and I've been found. I've been bleeding on the ground. It's the rain that washes away the pain from the first mistake.
Very pretty.
Thank you.
Really, really nice. Is that drop D or just?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so here's the existential question. You've begun your tune and you realize you're out of tune. Do you stop or do you forge ahead, man?
You got to power through. You got to power through, especially with an open tuning. You know, because it all sounds sort of droney anyway most of the time. So.
Are you a fiddle guy?
I'm not a fiddle guy in the sense that I play a fiddle. I can pretty much mess around on anything that has strings, and I've always had a gift for that. So I do play mandolin, which my understanding is it's tuned the same way as a fiddle, right? In fifths.
Do you enjoy Celtic music?
I love Celtic music. I'm Irish on both sides, and I brought in we had a local musician here that unfortunately she moved up to the Pacific Northwest, but if you listen to Between Heaven and the Ground, the song that we'll probably talk about later, her name is Tiffany Shanta, just heartbreakingly beautiful. So I love the fiddle. I mean, anytime and then on my first record, I used a thing called Fiddle Tracks. It's a guy who lives in Austin. I've never met him in person, but I sent him the track he does 3 takes and then sends it back. So I've got to be friends with him, and his name's Kurt Baumer, and I've never met Kurt before. He was in a band called Lone Star in the 80s and early 90s that was pretty big. You know, they were on the Tonight Show and some stuff. But yes, I love fiddles, but I don't play the fiddle.
It's so cool we can work that way.
Yeah, that's just crazy to think
Thank
about.
goodness for emailing.
Yeah.
Keith was just saying that he loves Tori Amos and that the whole album Little Earthquakes is about surviving sexual assault. I did know that. And I think the thing with Tori, I might play a really short song of hers later. Yeah. I think the thing with Tori is you have to dig for the lyrical meaning, you know, and I would love to get your thoughts on this because I've been studying like country songwriting and going to Nashville and writing, and it's just like if you can't say what your song is about succinctly and have lyrics that are clear to everybody, then throw the song away. Yeah,
you know, what's the old saying? Don't bore us, get to the chorus. And if you talk to, one thing you probably noticed, you know, for those of you guys that are watching, we had, Grace and I were in that Songwriter Serenade competition. We had 2 of the judges were just superstar songwriters. One of them is a guy named Josh Grider, who's a big country guy. And then Kim Ritchie, who spent tons of time and actually still lives in Nashville. But if you notice the critiques they gave, a lot of their critiques were, at least for me and the people I talked to, were kind of get to the point stuff, you know, tighten it down, you know, this bridge is too long.
What does this word mean?
Yeah, so they're very much, to your point, they're very much into cutting all the fat off, as you know. And that's something that in teaching new songwriters I find, and I was super guilty of it when I started, which is your songs are too long when you first start writing. And so learning to do what a buddy of mine, you know, calls a tight song. I think a tight song is about no more than 4 minutes plus or minus. I mean, and I've got ones that are longer, and everybody probably does, but that's about the attention span sweet spot, I think.
I've gotten shushed if it's over 3 minutes.
Yeah. So, and that's hard to do because sometimes you'll write all this great stuff and it's like, oh, this line is so good. And you know, you just got to have be merciless and put it on the cutting room floor. So.
What's that saying about like throwing away your babies or something? There's some line that like, what is that saying? It'll come to us.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a thing.
I know exactly what you're talking about that. But what I tell people and what I do is you know, obviously I'm sure you do too, which is you save those cool lines or those cool phrases, and you're like, I'm going to work that in somewhere. And so, I mean, it kind of goes in the notebook, and when you get a chance, like, that's where it goes. So
yes. What are you going to play for us? I don't know why I'm British, but
it's all those mysteries you've been watching. Well, I'm going to play a song from my latest, or soon to be latest. My latest. I haven't had a new record in so long. Everything I say my latest. My upcoming album, which will be released hopefully sometime. It's being mixed and mastered right now. So it should be in the spring when it comes out. And this song is one of those ones people ask you all the time that are interested in songwriting. Do you do music or do you do lyrics first? And I tell people sometimes the chord progression will tell you, and it sounds kind of hokey, but it'll tell you what the song's supposed to be about. So I came up with this particular chord progression. It sounded kind of Latin, sort of bossa nova. And I wanted to write about. I sort of had in mind this picture of a Latin girl, and my wife is, for the longest time, her whole family, there was a kind of a understanding in the family that they had roots that went to Cuba, that they had Cuban ancestry, and then of course we did the 23andMe or whatever it is, Ancestry.com a year or two ago, and it turns out that that's not true. But I wrote this song with my wife in mind, sort of as that Cuban girl. And actually, to our point, or to our conversation before, there are a couple of lines that are in here that I've been saving to put in a song somewhere. So the song's called Emilita. Autumn breeze whispered in my window, soft as a morning dove's cry. And I thought about the way your hair brushed against my face the morning you gave me that last kiss goodbye. I still wonder where you are and what you're doing. You still come to me in midnight motel dreams. We raced each other down the road to ruin. I crashed and burned, you got away clean. Emilita, the color's bleeding from the day. Emilita, another long night's on the way. And I'll lie awake, missing the touch of your hand, knowing anyone that hasn't loved you, oh, they could never understand. You had a mariposa tattoo on your shoulder and a nickel-plated pistol in your drawer. You were wiser and just a little older, and you put your hooks in me like nobody had before. Emilita, the color's bleeding from the day. Emilita, another long night's on the way. And I'll lie awake, missing the touch of your hand, knowing anyone that hasn't loved you, they can never understand. And in that little room at the top of those stairs, well, we'd dance to those Cuban songs. Music would play and your body would sway, and I knew even then it was too good to last for too long. Too good to last for long. Oh, Emilita, the color's bleeding from the day. Emilita, another long night's on the way. And I'll lie awake, missing the touch of your hand, knowing anyone who hasn't loved you, oh, they can never understand. Anyone who hasn't loved you, oh, they can never understand.
So beautiful.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Keith said that he can hear some James Taylor influence. Are you a James Taylor fan?
Yeah.
Do you get that a lot?
I do get that a lot, and I'll take it every time. Finger picking style is pretty similar, and I grew up listening to James Taylor, but I was never like a huge like mega fan or anything.
I can hear it in your voice.
And people tell me that, and they have since I started doing the songwriter thing, and so. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I'll take it. We're both baritones. This is, for you guitar nerds, this is a Collings guitar. It's really, really bright. It's very similar to the one that he uses. And that last song in particular, those little hammer-ons with the A chord are very James Taylor-y. Yeah. And he does a lot of that kind of faux bossa nova stuff, too. So,
gorgeous,
so that's cool.
And smooth. I loved it. It's like a lint truffle for the ears, Mike.
Well, the cool thing is on the record we did a whole Latin percussion, and it's a big production number, which is really sounds cool. And we use the vibes and stuff, like the xylophone vibes, and It's pretty groovy.
Not to
the
touch
finished
on a
product.
sensitive political subject. I know that
But-
you really want to talk politics. Are these available on Spotify?
Well, my first two albums are available on Spotify, and some of the roughs from the new record are available on Spotify. I don't think available on SoundCloud.
Okay.
So everything from my last record, At Home in the Darkness, is available on Spotify, as
Okay.
is my first record. And then, we were talking earlier about your first songs that you write. There's a guy named Drew Kennedy. I don't know if you know. He's good friends with Josh Grider, who he's a songwriter who said that your first record is like the picture that your parents have of you in middle school up in their house, where you look at it and you go, "Oh, take that down, take that."
Yeah.
So there's a couple of okay songs on my first record, but there's a lot of cringy stuff on there too. So
I feel you.
yeah. So, but the last one I'm really proud of, and so I commend folks to that if they like my style. It's
Yes.
there's some pretty neat stuff on there.
And I want to respond to a couple of comments. Jim, yes, I will be at Music Fest this year. I don't have the dates picked, but I'm going to be there. Mark is really excited that you were here tonight, Mike.
Oh, excellent.
So I, last year, did a Spotify playlist with all of the artists that joined me on here. It's still there. If you guys use Spotify, maybe I'll resurrect it and make a new one and
Great idea.
put your tunes on there. And then, hey, Mickey. Yeah, Mike is an awesome guitar player. And I just want to throw out that Mike and I both have mailing lists. My Facebook got hacked a few weeks back, and I had this panic. I was like, oh no, that is the only way that I reach any of my fans. So if you like what I do and you aren't on my mailing list, just go to my website and made a tab. And then for Mike, if you go to mikepRyanmusic.com, and you'll see in the contact section over on the right, there's drop a note. And you specifically want to know, like, if there's a song that you played tonight that people dig, right?
Yeah, that, or if they delve into the catalog and there's stuff that they like, I'd love to hear that. Hey, I really like this song. There is a link on my website. I think it's on the home initial page that says click here, and it talks about the new, which when it was posted was the new album about a year and a half ago.
It's beautiful.
But anyway, you can go to a platform there that's called Here Now, and you can sample and you can download any of those songs from At Home in the Darkness on that tab on the first page of the website. So, and as Grace probably mentioned, I use the P, my middle initial, just to differentiate me because there's a lot of Mike Ryans in the music business. So it's mikepRyanmusic.com.
Yes. Okay. I found the saying. It wasn't babies. It's sometimes you have to kill your darlings.
Oh, that's pretty grim.
Well, this is how I got in my head last week, and I couldn't write. It's because I've been writing with Barbara Cloyd, who was an amazing songwriter.
Yeah.
She and so we had a song we've been working on together, and it's like our verses were very country and clear in the meaning, and all of a sudden our bridge was like flowery, poetic singer-songwriter, and it didn't quite work, even though we liked
Yeah.
the lyrics, So I'm gonna play a new song that might be terrible, and I can do it now because there's still time to save myself if it's awful.
Make it up to the world.
Save my ego.
Sorry, world.
Well, your
Swing and
song was
miss.
just so lovely and beautiful
Wow.
about love, and this one's a little bit cynical. It's a lot bit cynical, and I've never played it for anybody before. And I'm not opposed to people blowing smoke up my ass, even if
It's a different kind of live stream. Than that.
Well, I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, if I'm asking you if I played well, like if I did a good job at my show, the answer is yes. I don't actually want feedback.
Yeah. Well, that's my golden rule for new songwriters too. Is you got to get honest feedback. My wife is the best about that. She'll always give me her honest opinion. And the joke I make is, I know I haven't. If she says, when I finish the song, if she says, "Do you want my honest opinion?" then I know I'm screwed because that means that was a swing and a miss. But she's the best sounding board because she's totally,
You need
totally
that.
objective and totally honest. So it's
I'm with you on the song feedback. I think for me, it's like after a show,
Right.
if I'm iffy about what the crowd response was, like the only helpful thing for me is to tell me I was great.
Yeah, well, you can usually tell. You can get the flop sweat going. It's
I know, the flop sweat. I like that. It's so real. All right, I'm gonna play this new song. So hopefully, I don't have to kill my darling here, but. And I'm gonna put this thing up. Okay, so this was kind of sort of inspired by an experience in my past. I've been in therapy going through like, why did I make that choice in my life? And why did I make this choice in my life? And we had this moment in my therapy session last week. She's like, you do realize that person manipulated you, right? And all these years I had no idea that I had been manipulated in that way. And I'm like, why did I let myself get manipulated like that? And then I remember that like there are people who are just good at that, at manipulating people and grooming you. And they just have, it's a particular skill set. So, anyway, that's where this came from. Losing your heart is a terrible thing. What once was quiet suddenly sings. Your black and white newspapers headlines are red, and you can't remember what you'd read instead. I lost my mind once, I thought it was joy. I'd never been quite so moved by a boy. He brought me out like his proudest sin, and I didn't know the trouble I was in. Been taught that the only way out is a man who has swooped in to save you. It's hard to see that it ever could be you alone. And it's gonna be hard, there's gonna be days you won't save nothing. But losing your heart is a terrible thing. This is where the pedal steel solo occurs. Drag me across hot coals, pull me down the road. That's the feeling that I'd rather know. Give me peace, pain, and pity I dread. Get your damn fingers out of my head. When you've been caught in the arms of a heart whose only goal is trying to groom you, you might not see it'll be so easy to lose it all. And it's gonna be hard, there's gonna be days you can't stand or sing. So losing your heart is a terrible thing. Oh, losing your heart is a terrible thing. Oh, losing your heart is a terrible thing.
Fantastic.
Thank you. There's my tick. I was telling Mike earlier that I developed a tick live streaming because if it's just you, there's no sound after you play a song. And so I've just started giggling.
I have a thing I do that I never know I do when I'm playing like lead guitar. You've got the tick and I've got the kick. My buddy Dan calls it the Mike Ryan kick.
Like when you're playing real good?
No, when I'm playing, I'll be playing lead, and when I sit in with people or do the lead thing, and I guess I do this little kick thing with my foot, like to emphasize certain notes or whatever. I have no idea I'm doing it, and then I've watched the video now, and it's like, oh yeah, there it is. So.
Isn't it funny how you develop those things? For me, it was when I would play full band, I would shake my butt to cue parts.
Yeah.
Which I guess looked like a dance. I don't know.
I also have another weird idiosyncrasy, which is goes to the lead guitar thing, which I was a lead guitar player for years. I never sang. And I might step up to the mic and I might sing a background vocal for just a second, and then I step away and go back to my little lead guitar corner. So I've noticed over the years watching videos of me playing, acoustic stuff, that I will sing and then I'll back away from the mic. And
Yes.
it's just this sort of, rote thing that I do that
I do the
never
same
realized I was
thing.
doing.
Do you know? So I realized I did that years ago. I was opening for a magic show at like a county fair.
Puppet show and Spinal Tap.
Yeah, yes. I've had a lot of instances in my life like Spinal Tap. But this was one of those ones where like, oh, PA is provided. We've got a mic. And I didn't know to specify what sort of mic and what sort of
Yeah.
mic stand I wanted. And so when I got there, what I got was the magic show mic, which was,
Excellent.
a headset mic.
Yeah. Oh,
You can't step away from it.
Right.
And I realized how much I'd come to depend upon stepping away from the mic for myriad reasons. Like, what if you have to burp?
Yeah.
And you can't get away from it with a headset mic.
Yeah, people don't realize, probably more than most people want to know, but singing, it does create, there's all kinds of strange things that happen with your mouth and with, I'm sure you've done the same thing where you've spit, like, it's spontaneous.
Oh, so many things.
Yeah.
You know what I did? My best one, it wasn't a mouth thing, though. It was when I was doing backup for Eddie Money, and I was playing acoustic guitar, too, and I lost my pick, and I could never do this again if I tried. It landed exactly in his cup of water on the floor. I'm sorry, Eddie Money. Anywho, what do you got for us?
Well, let's see here. This is also a song that'll be on the new record, and it's a song I wrote for my brother. We grew up in sort of a chaotic household, and it's called Charlie. Wake up, Charlie, they're at it again. Sounds like a bad one this time. Dad came home, 3 sheets to the wind, and Mom, she's breaking stuff and crying. Well, we'll slip out the window and down the back stairs, and we'll find us a safe place to hide. Take my hand, Charlie, try not to be scared, put your coat on. It's cold outside. Well, it seems this is happening more and more since the old man got laid off again. Angry voices behind the bedroom door, and you and me out in the dark, praying it will end. And we slip out the window and down the back stairs, and we find us a safe place to hide. Take my hand, Charlie, try not to be scared, put your coat on. It's cold outside. And with eyes closed tight, I dream I can fly, and I soar high above everything. No tears and no fear, just clear blue sky. And you're with me, Charlie, you're safe beneath my wing. You're safe beneath my wing. Seems like it's over, they've turned out the lights. Everything's quiet for now. You're asleep on my shoulder, so I'll carry you inside, and I'll try to find a way to get us out of this somehow. 'Cause I swear, Charlie, I can't take another night waiting for the world to cave in. I'm tired of hiding, I'm tired of the fights. No sooner does it stop then it all starts up again, and we slip out the window and down the back stairs, and I find us a safe place to hide. Take my hand, Charlie, try not to be scared. Put your coat on, it's cold outside. It's cold outside.
You got me with that one, man. Holy Stromboli. I'm sitting here trying not to cry.
Well,
So that was about your little brother, is that what you said?
actually, the true story is I'm the little brother in the song, but it's told from the big brother's perspective. So, yeah.
I'm like, it's so interesting. You know, I was an easy cry before I had my child, but
Yeah.
now it's like picturing any scenario in which a kid would be put in that kind of position
Right.
is like, oh my God.
Yeah, I've given up trying to introduce that or explain it. I just say this is just, I grew up in a chaotic house, and
Ooh,
I wrote this for my
yeah.
brother, and I just let it go, let it play. So.
Yeah, and I think how cathartic for other people who had
It
similar
really
experiences.
seems to touch people. I've had more people come up after shows and say, so yeah.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd get my really depressing one out of the way and move on to happier,
God, I
as
can't
happy
say
as I
that
get
right.
anyway.
Keith is wondering if that's available online anywhere.
It will be soon, Keith. It's not yet, but it will be. So stay patient, my friend. And email David Mallon at Innovation Station Music. And no, Dave is my producer. He's busily mixing right now.
Drop a note.
Yeah, if
Like
you could
you
send
write
him.
music. Drop a
Every
note.
time I've tried to make a record, Dave has some apocalyptic, life-changing event happen. The first time,
slows it down.
his wife gets pregnant, or his
What's he
studio got
thinking?
broken into, and now it's COVID. It's just like I'm just Typhoid Mary when it comes to. Because I mean, these songs that are on the record, some of them have been around for like a couple of years, and it's just like, God, what do I have to do to get one out?
I know. I have my producer's on tour with Tori Amos right now.
Oh, cool.
And I keep, I'm used to him being home, and I can if I write a song that I really love, just pop over and record it, and he's not here.
Yeah.
And I get that Tori Amos is a big deal, but also I really want to record my song,
Well,
John.
hey,
It's not fair.
our goal should be a society without classes, right?
Oh, man. I'm just trying to give a little pause here because I can't follow that.
Well, I can play something else if you need a minute.
Well, kind of, sort of along the same lines. Not really the same thing.
It's not a contest, so you don't have to.
But just thinking about, I go to therapy and working through things that I didn't realize were traumatic or that have lingered in me. And as you unfold layers of yourself, you're like, oh, that's why I did X, Y, or Z. And Mike and I were talking earlier about how I view myself as someone who's afraid of other people, is a doormat, no self-confidence. And my husband, I said that to him, and he's like, what are you talking about, no self-confidence? You stand up for yourself all the time. Like, if someone does an injustice, you say something immediately. but just, how we view ourselves. And so this song is about how I view myself. And I really think so much of it, when you're a kid, what your parents say to you is well and good, but it's what they do that is really the lesson that you take away. And what I saw was that you cannot stand up for yourself. You are powerless. Someone else needs to save you. And you stay in loveless, unhappy places just because you're there.
Yep.
And so this is a song about trying, wishing that I could have saved my parents from that, but but trying to shed it from me. And I don't know if Denise is still watching, but this song only gets played because Denise liked it one time when I played it a while back. So thank you, Denise. All right. It's been a minute since I played this one. I always watched through shuttered doors, wishing that I had a pair of oars. The tide would pull out and carry me, lost in the strength of the sea. But I didn't know time would run, and I'm on the edge of I am. I'm on the edge of I can. I'm at the end of my rope, and God, I pray she'll float. My mother walked a crooked mile. One crooked man stole her smile, and when I looked up, all I could see is we don't have a right to set ourselves free. But she didn't know time would run. Now I'm on the edge of I am. I'm on the edge of I can. I'm at the end of my rope. God, I pray she'll float. She'll float. My daddy tried to fix her heart, but he didn't have one single part. Standing in silence, it was all he could be. I think he saved his heart for me, but he didn't know time would run. Now I'm on the edge of I am. I'm on the edge of I can. I'm at the end of my rope. God, I pray she'll float. She'll float.
Awesome. Love it.
Thank you.
So good. See, the lead guitar player in me just wants to lay into those. Like, I could
Yes.
do some damage there with some of those beautiful,
I have an answer to this conundrum. Is we just need to do a real life show together.
Well, there you go.
Are you
I am
in
in
Maryland?
Virginia.
You're
I'm
in
in Virginia, yeah.
Virginia and Maryland is like my every year I go there place.
Right.
And I have a house concert booked in Virginia in September
Really?
with no other dates around it. Maybe we should, talk about.
Well, we should do that, and Where is your house concert at?
That's a great. No, it's in Maryland. Wait, it's in Glen Burnie.
Okay, Glen Burnie's not too far away. Yeah.
But that's like, to me, if I'm going to one, I may as well go to the other. You know?
Yeah.
Once you've driven to New Mexico from Massachusetts,
I'm
it's
with
all
you. Yeah.
nothing.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you, Denise.
Yeah, we can chat about it offline. I'd be happy to come out and play guitar for you. You know, something like that.
Yes.
Nobody ever takes me up on it because they think it's like somehow.
Oh, no, I
but
will.
I'm like, dude.
I'm on it. And if you want piano or accordion on your tunes, I'm your girl. I'm better at those than the guitar.
Yeah, see, next to the fiddle, I'm a fool for the accordion too. So if you listen to all my stuff from all my last record, there's tons of accordion.
I will learn the parts. I never get to play my accordion.
Well, it's very southwestern, which is where I'm from. So yeah, I love it. It's just a perfect texture. You know, when it's done right, it's. And you say accordion, and people think of like Lawrence Welk, and I'm not talking more like
I like it to give just like a nice Celtic undertone.
Yeah,
to
it has it's funny because it will bring to mind certain things. It can be a Celtic thing, or it can be sort of southwestern, like the Mexican Tejano type, concertina type thing, or I did a song on the last record that I think I played it at Songwriters Serenade. It takes place in the Cajun, in the Louisiana Bayou.
Yes.
And it was the perfect thing for that too, because it's got that sort of French, texture to it as well. So.
Yes. What is the? There's a particular name for French Canadian music it's similar to Celtic, but it's its own thing. There's a folk festival I play at every year, and they have they call it a kitchen party, like a French Canadian kitchen party.
Feu de dough.
Yeah, maybe.
That's
anyway.
a Cajun dance party.
And it's similar, but this is the French
Canadian version. Yeah.
Version of it. I love that music. Anyway, I digress.
I did a thing at NERFA last time I went. I did a round with a husband and wife team who were French Canadian, and they sang all their songs in French, and it was just gorgeous. I mean, you have a clue what they were saying, but I even bought their CD. It was so good. It was just really, really unique. So
my favorite is a group called Vishten.
Yeah.
So good. I highly recommend y'all look up Vishten. So good. What are you going to play for us?
Well, I will play a song that's been getting a lot of buzz lately.
Wait, did it win a contest?
It did win a contest.
I should have started with Mike P. Ryan. This was my intention, was to start with, this is Mike P. Ryan, and he is having a very good year.
This song was one of the ones that got me into Serenade, and it's recently was selected for the overall grand prize in the Mid-Atlantic Song Contest. So it won the folk acoustic category, and then it also won the overall big prize. So
you are on a roll.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. And then I got a note day before yesterday from a contest here in the Maryland, or the Bethesda, Maryland area called the Bernard Ebb Memorial. It's a performing singer-songwriter thing. It's really, really tough to get into. And so I found out I'm a finalist there. So I get to go to the performing part on the 1st of April. So we'll see.
Yes.
That particular contest has a very unique distinction, and that is the prize money for first place is $10,000.
Holy shnikes! There's your new record.
So I don't have any illusions about winning it, but it would be pretty cool to walk away with $10K.
I know.
Good friend of mine won it last year.
She's pretty darn great. Don't count yourself out.
She's uber talented, but anyway, this song I think is kind of unique, and it's. I read David McCullough's book a couple of years ago about the Wright brothers, and it's a very fascinating story for a lot of different reasons. One of which, to my mind, is that you think about what it was that they accomplished. The first powered flight, and how that literally changed history and changed the world forever. I mean, they and they never set out to do that. They were just two guys that kind of had this dream to build this flying machine. And the cool part about the story for me is that they weren't educated. They weren't scientists or doctors or engineers or anything. They were just two guys that knew how to work with their hands. They owned a bicycle shop, but they had this dream, and it was a quest that everyone told them was, they were crazy. At the time, everybody that was working with trying to develop flying machines was getting killed all over the world. but they never gave up on it, and eventually they succeeded, and then their success was absolutely beyond anybody's wildest dreams. And so it's a great story, and I like story songs, and so I tried to capture the essence of their story through the eyes of Orville Wright, who was the one that actually flew the first powered flight. And they did it on a little spit of land in between the ocean and a place called the Albemarle Sound. So the song refers to the Albemarle Sound. And it's called Between Heaven and the Ground. Well, 8 days shy of Christmas, 1903. On the coast of Carolina, my brother and me, we stood atop the sand hills by the Albemarle Sound, with a mind to sail across the open sky between heaven and the ground. Well, we hail from Ohio, working men of modest means, and folks said that we were crazy, fooling with flying machines. They said, remember poor old Icarus, how he came crashing down. God would have gave men wings if they belonged between heaven and the ground. But when I close my eyes each night, the vision is the same. I see a sleek machine take flight, and I hear the clouds whisper my name. Those that doubt our intentions, they'll never understand how it feels to burn with passion and to build a dream with your hands, your own hands. Oh, with your own hands, these two hands. Well, the wind blew off the water, 'cause on the hill we stood, next to our winged invention, made of wire cloth and wood. My brother cranked the engine, and my heart began to pound. I climbed aboard and set a course between heaven and the ground. And if I lived 1,000 lifetimes, would not forget the day that I rose into the cool morning air, and I watched the earth fall away. There above the sand hills by the Albemarle Sound, two boys from Ohio touched the sky. Between heaven and the ground. Yeah, we proved that day that dreams can fly between heaven and the ground. Thank you. Thank you so much.
This is like a master class for me in songwriting. Oh, so beautiful. And I
Well, thank you.
loved that. Was that like a sharp 11 you had going on in there?
It's a cut capo, so I have no idea what the chords are.
That little note. The
Oh, yeah. It's...
that, yes.
I've not a clue what that is. I'm not
Beautiful.
classically trained.
Beautiful
but yeah,
is
it's
what it
gorgeous. And you work with the cut capo at all? Or
Nope.
like partial capo? Okay, well,
No.
that's something you need to get into because...
Well, I've been... Frederick loved that song.
Oh, thank you so much, Frederick. That one is available on SoundCloud, so shoot me a note and I'll give you a link to it if you promise to buy the record when it comes out. Of course, the record has got Tiffany playing the fiddle and Dave Mallon playing the piano, and I don't know if you know Kip and Martin or not, but
Yes. She was on here.
Yeah, she sings beautiful harmonies on that song, so it's just the finished product is really, really, I mean, it's pretty by itself, but it's really, really pretty. And I was like a half step too low there too. I realized when I started, like, uh-oh. So anyway, but thank you. Yeah, everybody really likes that song too. It seems to move people. It's certainly my wife's current favorite.
So good. And Keith appreciated the Icarus reference.
Everybody talks about that too. Yeah, so that's cool.
And Keith also loves Kippen. Everybody here likes Kippen. I really loved her writing and just as a person. Like there was, it's funny when you do something like this, you never quite know what the chemistry will be with your
Right,
guest,
yeah.
right? Is it going to flow or not?
Yeah.
And I remember I had never met Kippen before. We had never spoken at all. I was just like, hey, come be on my thingy.
Yeah.
And I was so anxious because interacting with people is another thing that makes me anxious. But then like we got to chatting and I was like, oh, you're cool.
Yeah, she sang on Fade or Do and on the last record, and we've done a bunch of shows together, and it's just one of those things where you just talk about feeling like you're the minor leagues. I mean, her voice is just, and her writing's beautiful, and So I joke about, I am not worthy to be on the same stage.
What a killer lineup, though! Like I can see your styles going
Yeah,
so nicely together.
we did a show pre-COVID, so gosh, I guess it's been like 2 years ago now. You can Google Mike Ryan, Kip and Martin. There's a bunch of cool stuff on there. But we did a show with Wes Collins, who is another one of my sort of musical heroes, and so
I think someone should tag Wes Collins and Kip and Martin in the comments so that they know that we're talking about them tonight.
I haven't talked to Kippen in forever, and her and her wife had a baby about a year ago, so I know she's busy being a new mom and everything. But yeah, she's something really special, and I just and she comes in the studio and just we fool around, and she's just good people. The funny part about it, and I'm sure you're probably more formally trained than I am, but what's funny is she's completely formally trained. So her and my producer Dave, who's also formally trained, she'll come in to do harmonies, and they'll start, I call it dolphin speak. They start doing this language that I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I just sit down and get out of the way. And Dave's like, if you go to the perfect 11th here, it'll be the
I tell you what,
circle of fifths, and I'm just like, yeah, that sounds great. You guys do that harmony thing.
I went to college and I have my teaching degree in music and all of that. It's just a way of communicating. It just like makes communicating it a little bit easier. It's not like different knowledge.
But what's amazing is Dave will say, okay, she'll do a part, and Dave will say, okay, try it again, and this time go to the the third or the fifth or whatever. And she just makes a little note and she does it. Yeah. And there's been many times when I've been trying to do vocals, and he'll say, okay, he'll literally have to hit the note on the piano, because I'm like, I don't know where the fifth is. I don't know what that means. It's just cool. It's really cool. I've got one of my things. I love to watch people that are, whether it's hitting the golf ball or building a birdhouse or whatever. If you're good at what you do, it's just cool to watch, and it's fun to watch her and Dave work together, because they're both doing the formally trained thing, and it's a different world for me.
Yeah, although it can get pretentious too.
Sure, absolutely, it can.
So to be completely non-pretentious, if any of you listen to my which record was it? My second one, Reasons, starts out, the first song, it's just percussion and then my vocals come in, and I couldn't like I knew my first note, I knew what it was, but I couldn't match it because I had no chord occurring. It was just drums, and I was supposed to come in and hit the right note. So every time I listen to that song, I laugh because I know that what he did was play a god awful pitch, like on a synthesizer, like this, like, and it was just like ringing through the drums before I started singing the song. I was talking about studio stuff and like playing the note to match it made me think of that. So I feel like we have roughly enough time for me to do my song this round and then one more round.
Okay.
Barring any really important requests from the people who are watching. So, like, if anyone has a very important request that they need to hear Mike play, you think about that now and put it in the comments. And I'm going to play a song that I also... Tonight's just, like, usually when I have such a fabulous songwriter on, I'm like, I'm just going to bring my great songs. But tonight I've decided just to bring my workshopping songs. Oh. So, now, I don't want this to come across like I am saying anything negative about church. This is more about how I interpreted my upbringing. It's not so much about what the church was selling, I don't think. But I remember growing up in this, it was a Nazarene church, and in a Nazarene church, it's like no makeup and no dancing, you know, if you're following the rules strictly. And it's not quite a charismatic church, but like people have their hands in the air while they're worshiping and whatnot. And I remember being a little kid, and I would watch the people with their hands in the air and think, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. Okay. But then I would do it, and I would feel weird. And I also remember always feeling like I was a dirty sinner. And I was like a really well-behaved kid. I didn't do anything, but I would lay in bed at night and think, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. What should I be guilty about today? And I would go through my mind about all the things that I should feel guilty about in that day. And I just remember never feeling like I measured up. I just never felt like I measured up. And even like in the youth group, you know, I was always kind of left out, and I would think, oh, is it because I'm this awful sinner? Is that why? So this song was just kind of like me trying to compute that. Haven't played it in a hot minute. Sitting in the back row of my home church, I always wished I was one of those girls who'd raise her hands and praise the Lord, so I wouldn't fall overboard. I always felt like I was such a sinner, even though I was never late for dinner. I'd raise my hands and beg the Lord, what am I so broken for? Looking for flaws where there aren't any, waiting for a heart to change. Yeah. They always said that only like a nice girl, what did I have to do to prove that I could be the right girl? Raise my hands and praise the Lord. But who am I putting on a show for? It always seems so very curious, asking lots of questions could make him furious. I'd raise my hand and ask to know, the sinner, let it go. If I'm looking for holes where there aren't any, what's an answer gonna change? Yeah. But the question still stands. Lock him up like a curio, but I still wanna know how you curry favor, and where's my Savior? just wished I was one of those girls who raise her hands and praise the Lord. But it seemed a little overboard.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Love it. I grew up Irish Catholic, so and we were like Shiite Catholics, as someone said. So it was. So you got nothing on me when it comes to guilt. I'm still guilty for. I'm guilty for everything.
My favorite hymn is an Irish hymn.
Yeah.
Be Thou My Vision.
Okay.
Do you know that?
I think I do. Yeah.
Let's see if
I think so.
Be Thou my vision, O Lord of my heart. It's so beautiful. I can't do it justice right now. Highly recommend. I would love to hear a version of you singing that.
That
Anyway,
would be awesome.
Tom Martin from Chile, Louisiana. Louisiana is chilly today. What is chilly to you, Tom? It's been mighty cold here in Massachusetts. We've been like single digitsing.
Yeah, it's been bad here too. Everything I like to do is outside, so we've been stark crazy.
I am jealous of people who can go for a walk, because we had 2 feet of snow and that's all ice, and I can't even go for a walk.
It's been ugly here.
Did y'all get crazy snow too?
We've got a couple of bouts of snow, but it's just been bitter cold with the wind has been really cold. And then you have these weird days where like it's 60 degrees, you know,
Yeah.
so it's like, who knows?
Well, we haven't had one of those.
That's true.
I'm glad you're here, Tom.
So
So-
this is it for me?
I think this is
Okay.
it. Yeah. So everybody, this is Mike P. Ryan, and I just want to say this again. Go check out his website. It's a lovely web. Did you build it yourself?
I did, with a little advice from some folks that kind of know what they're doing.
It's killer.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But more specifically, go to this. You could type that in, or if you just go to his regular website over on the right side under contact, you can drop a note. And you know, if there's a song of his you liked tonight, or you just want to stay high and stay connected with him, or will they be able to get updates when your record's out?
They
that
will.
way?
I mean, I have not done the mailing list thing the last, sort of during COVID. So it's really didn't have much to say. So, and I run hot and cold with mailing lists. So, I will probably do some type of mailing list thing when the new record comes out, and I will start pushing it so on Facebook and Instagram and all that. So if you follow me there, follow me on Instagram especially. It's Mike P. Ryan Music. You'll get all the updates you want. And if you want to just reach out to me directly, hey, I'll put you in the contacts, and I'll make sure you know what's shaking with the new record and all that stuff.
Do it. All right. What is your last tune tonight?
Okay, so I'm gonna do. This is probably my favorite of all the songs I've ever written. We were sort of chatting about it earlier this morning when we did our sound check, but I don't think I've mentioned it. But I'm from out west. I grew up in Oklahoma, and it's kind of a rural background. And my wife's from Tennessee, Kentucky, and a lot of times I don't really fit in around here with the Northern Virginia folk. And as a musician, you have also these feelings often. We talked about kind of the imposter syndrome and all that, but you get this feeling sometimes that everybody else is doing more important things and you're kind of an afterthought. And so this is based on those feelings that whether it's in your personal life or your professional life or whatever, that the rest of the world has got something better to do than deal with you. And so this is called Someone Like Me. My radio dial is stuck on the Jesus station. Through the late night static, will I hear all the talk about salvation? I ain't worried about my eternal destiny. Someone like Jesus ain't got time for someone like me. Someone like me who's at home in the darkness on an old blacktop highway. Yes, someone like me who's made peace with sleeping alone. Someone like me who's worn out and weary from wondering every day why so many hearts are as hard as polished stone. I write you letters in my scratchy old long hand, but they come back unopened, bound in a brown rubber band. I know you got places to go and you've got people to see. Someone like you ain't got time for someone like me. Someone like me who's at home in the darkness on an old blacktop highway. Yes, someone like me who's made peace with sleeping alone. Someone like me who's worn out and weary from wondering every day why so many hearts are as hard as polished stone. Summer's gone now and the nights are getting cold. These days I swear I feel a million years old. And I try to follow the signs along the road, but they're all rusted out, full of buckshot holes, and through a dirty windshield through the corner of my eye I see the milestones and the fence posts go flashing by. Pretend not to notice, but it ain't no mystery. This world is turning too fast for someone like me. Someone like me who's at home in the darkness on an old blacktop highway. Yes, someone like me who's made peace with sleeping alone. Someone like me who's worn out and weary from wondering every day why so many hearts are as hard as polished stone. Why so many hearts are as hard as polished stone.
Bravo.
you.
Bravo.
Thank
I
you so
don't know
much.
if it was the intention of the song, but I was relating it to it in that I've never once felt like I fit in anywhere.
Right. Yeah, no, that's the gist of it. So, yeah. Yeah.
And it's just such a funny, I think more people feel that way than let on. I think
Yeah.
so many of us are like, no, I'm a wallflower. No, I am.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, I mean, the first part's kind of cheeky about, someone like Jesus. And then like I said, the last time I did a live stream, one of the hosts was crying when I was finished with that song. I never think of it as like a tearjerker, but I guess it is,
Yeah, well, because you can start to feel, you can start to feel really alone, right?
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
and it's just so nice to know other people feel that way too.
Yeah.
Gosh, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight.
Well,
This was awesome.
yeah, it was my pleasure. I haven't got a chance to play much lately, so it's cool to get a chance to do it.
My soul
Shake off the
needed
rust.
this. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play one song, and then we can wrap up with
Okay.
one more sales pitch of getting people to message you on
Sounds good.
MikePRyanMusic.com.
Awesome.
So this song is the one that I actually wrote after I put up a really self-pitying post the other day about how I couldn't write a song for one day, so I wasn't a songwriter anymore. And I got all these comforting comments, and then I was like, oh my gosh, everybody feels this way. Like, I'm not as alone as I think I am. So, and it kind of goes back to what you were just talking about, and this maybe isn't my best song ever, but in the moment, it was just like, it was a little bit of a balm for my soul.
There you go.
I never talk that way. I don't know why I just spoke that way. I never do. Anywho, I'll give you this thing right here. Built this website myself. Okay, cross our fingers, everybody, that I don't muck her up. Most days it's get up and get to it. Don't think too hard. Put yourself right through it. Get in your car. Forget for a minute that you drive too far. And get lost in a song that can bring you back to your heart. 'Cause all we've got to know is we're not alone. All we've got to know is fear is age old. And when Father Time starts taking away your shine, start fighting back with song. 'Cause we are not alone. I've been grinding away at a job that don't pay my worth. Smiling through it all makes your soul hurt. Remember for a minute that you used to glow. And sometimes all it takes is the rising on the boat. 'Cause all we've got to know is we're not alone. All we've got to know is fear is age old. And when Father Time starts taking away your shine, start fighting back with song. 'Cause we are not alone. It can be easy to forget the faces that we met, the failures and success, the times you've passed the test, and when you've gone with grace, brought smiles to their faces, dancing with your babies. 'Cause all we've got to know is we're not alone. All we've got to know is fear is age old. And when Father Time starts taking away your shine, start fighting back with song. 'Cause we are not There goes the giggle tick again.
Well, that's what you whipped out, and you don't think that's a good song, then
Well,
I beg to differ. It's great stuff. It's great stuff.
Thank you. Well, it pulled me out of my doldrum.
Yeah.
John Bolt, thank you. Denise, thank you. Chris and Keith and Tom and Kippen and Wes Collins and Fred. I'm trying to get all the names. And Mickey was here tonight, and Mark and Jim. And did I miss anybody? And Chris, I know Chris was here too. I had an absolute ball. Oh, Carol was here from Maine, and I missed saying hi to Carol earlier too, and William. Okay, I think I got everybody. Awesome. Mike P. Ryan, everybody. I swear to God, I was like really anxious and upset before we started this live stream. You soothed my soul with your music and your temperament. Thank you.
Well,
I feel like
one of the many services I provide. So.
I feel like I'm walking away with a new friend.
Awesome.
And
Me too.
I'm just so glad we did this. You know, we met at Songwriter Serenade back in October.
Yeah.
Was that October?
Was it? I think it was. Yeah. So.
And
I'm gonna start bombarding you with links of things that you need to listen to. So.
please do send me the links. And I'm gonna resurrect my Grace Morrison's Virtual World Tour Spotify playlist. I know
Excellent.
some people don't like the Spotify right now, but I'm still gonna do it. So follow me on there, and you'll be able to see the playlist. I'll put Mike's songs up as they become available.
Yep.
Which should be. Do you have a ballpark?
For the new record, I think I just talked to Dave yesterday, so my guess would be probably sometime in the next 2 months. But I mean, I've got the At Home in the Darkness, all that stuff is up there on Spotify right now, so you can grab any of that you want.
Awesome. I'm gonna make me my playlist.
Yeah.
And was there anything else that I missed?
I don't think so. Just glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to get to hang with a fellow songwriter. I love your stuff.
Likewise, you keep having a great year.
I will. I will do my best, and we'll figure out something for when you come down this way. We'll do something together. That'd be
I would
awesome.
love that.
Well,
Have
if
a good
nothing else,
night, everybody.
We'll bring you over to the house and stuff you full of food and wine. So
Yes, and I'll play my accordion for you.
there you go. Awesome.
Have a good night, everyone.
Night, everybody. Thanks.